Hey, real quick, before we dive into today's episode, if you've been feeling like your brand needs a little love, but you're not quite sure where to start, I have just the tool you need. The Standout Brand Audit Bot is an AI-powered guided audit that shows you exactly what's working, what's not, and how to strengthen your brand using my proven Standout brand system. In 10 minutes or less, you'll walk away with clear next steps to move your brand forward with purpose. It's completely free. Just head to the show notes to grab the link and get started. In online business, a lot of the advice we get basically centers around more. Raise your prices, add more bonuses, build a huge course, charge 5 figures, otherwise you're doing it wrong. But what if the best move for your business was actually doing the opposite? In today's episode, I'm sitting down with Cass of The Copywriting Mama. She's a copywriter and email marketing strategist who built her business by actually paying attention to what her people could afford, what they want, what she could sustainably deliver, and showing up for her clients to create long-term relationships. We're talking about lowering your prices, why more work doesn't always equal more money, how to stop building offers that make you miserable, and the big foundational pieces that most people skip when it comes to both copywriting and branding. If you've been feeling burned out by the internet's quick win advice and you're ready to get off the hamster wheel, you're going to love this conversation. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Six Figure Brand Podcast, where each week we're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to build a six-figure business as an online service provider. I'm your host, Morgan. I'm a branding expert, online agency owner, mom of 2, and military spouse, and I'm obsessed with helping entrepreneurs like you understand the ins and outs of branding so that you can use it to grow your business without sacrificing your sanity. Whether you're just starting out or focused on scaling, we're diving into everything you need to build a profitable and sustainable online business. Let's get to it. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Six Figure Brand Podcast. I'm so excited to have Cass here with us. She is a copywriter and email marketing strategist, and she's got some pretty exciting stuff to share with us about going the opposite way of what the online business world has told us to do in recent years. So welcome, Cass. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you. Why don't we start by you just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about how you got into this crazy online business world?
Well, my name is Cass. I'm the copywriting mama, and I started out getting fired. I was fired from a podcast management job, funny enough. Initially, I had just bought my house 2 days prior, or moved into it 2 days prior. And so I had to make money some way. And I had this inkling that online business was going to be more profitable than going into restaurant business or going back to the dental office where I had worked before. And so my old boss had told me one time that, hey, if we ever don't work out, you'd make a great copywriter. And so I went on YouTube and I started watching videos about copywriting, and that took off from there. I initially got on LinkedIn and didn't see a whole ton of return. And then at 28 days, I booked my first client through there, but immediately popped over to Instagram and started building my brand there. The Copywriting Mama, I don't even think I had the name quite yet. But once I did, I really felt established and ready to move forward with it and run with it. And initially I went brand messaging, copywriting, website copy, you name it. If you would pay me to write it, I would. And then just this last year, I niched into email, even though I used to say, I don't need a niche, I have a miche. But realistically, I want to be the best at one thing versus being the jack of all trades when it comes to copywriting. And email is very ADHD friendly. It's very short form. And that for me is just right where I would love to live. And so I unpacked there, and that's where I've been ever since.
Awesome. Yeah. And also you just recently secured the trademark for the Copywriting Mama. So that is so exciting. Congratulations. Big round of applause. And yeah, I think you touched on something that I really appreciate, in that you were like, I started out just writing whatever somebody would pay me to write. And then through that learned what I like, what I don't like, who I like working with, who I don't like working with. I feel very strongly that the best way to find your niche is to just let it happen organically, which is kind of what you did, versus a lot of the advice that we get online that's like niche. And they want you to choose your niche like in that first 28 days. Right. And you're like, I've never even done a project before. How do I know? And then I feel like that just leads people who don't know better down the wrong road of trying to force something that is not really right for them. I did the exact same thing you did. I made an Upwork profile and I started posting on Facebook and did any and all graphic design projects I could get my hands on, plenty that I probably shouldn't have taken on. And through that was like, okay, I really enjoy logo design and branding. And then, okay, I really actually enjoy doing that when there's like strategy involved, and then kind of came to this place of like, okay, strategic branding and website design. But no way could you have told 2018 Morgan, like, oh, just go do this thing. I had to arrive there
Right.
on my own through my own process. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, if I had chosen early on, I would have chosen website copy because it was the most lucrative appearing from the outside. But then when I
Mhm.
started doing all these projects, website copy needs brand messaging. So that has to be a part of it. And then it just gets really intense, really emotional and long. Those projects last anywhere from 2 months to several months, depending on client returns and things. And email is very snappy. I still offer brand messaging because it's a core part of how I'm able to even write for anybody. But
Yeah.
I've let the website copy go, and it was hard because there's a lot of money to be earned in writing website copy, and I'm very capable of doing it. But emotionally, just where I'm at as a single mom and just somebody who's wearing all the hats right now, I feel very good about my decision to just choose the thing that feels best to me, even if it doesn't appear to be the most lucrative on the outside.
Yeah, and we'll get into lucrative here in a second, but I think that it's from the outside, it seems like that has worked for you. Every time on Threads, I see somebody being like, I'm looking for someone to write my emails. I always tag you, but there's usually a few people before me that have also tagged you. I think I do website design, so I'm intimately familiar with what the website copywriting process looks like. And I think we put so much pressure on a website that once we publish it, it's like set in stone. It can never change. And so then there's a lot of pressure on you as the copywriter and me as a designer to like make it perfect, make it convert, do all these things on the first try. Whereas, like you said, you send an email, hopefully half your list reads it, and then they don't really remember it a week from now, but then you get another chance to try it again in a few days. And I think people are a little more willing to test and try things. And you can also see a much like faster, more direct ROI. So I totally get it. That makes a lot of sense to me of like
Yeah.
why that would be the route you chose. So what kind of like pushed me to invite you to come on the show was you posted a thread, it's got to be 4 or 5 months ago now, about everyone's telling you to raise your prices, raise your prices, raise your prices. But I lowered my prices and I got booked out like almost immediately. So
Oh,
can you please tell us a little bit about that story?
it's so funny because I just got off a call right before this where I basically told someone, don't do the big hefty course, do a membership and put the same stuff you were going to put into a course into a membership. I'm so team low ticket, not just low ticket, but team catering to what the people you're trying to help can afford. Everyone thinks it'd be easier to make $1,000 sale than $1,000 sales. And it
Mhm.
just depends on who your people are, because maybe your people, $1,000 to get somebody brand new in business to spend thousands of dollars is a lot harder because it's scary. It's a big risk. Whereas inviting them to meet you in your membership where you can nurture them and show them who you really are and the value and get them kind of going first, and it's relationship building too. It's relationship and community building versus always seeking out, I just need that one shark. I need that one next shark. Well, you're always going to be chasing the next shark. And it's an exhausting process to have to do that because once somebody's gotten that website and they're done, then they're off. They're off, they're done. You have to get the next one. Where what's cool about, I think, the model that I'm leaning towards is that I will continuously create value for the same people and I can go really deep with people versus casting
Mhm.
such a wide net. And I think we're starting to see the fall. And this came, mind you, this came before the whole like Porterfield gate, I feel, that is going on right now. And so this came before that, but you see how that has fallen right into alignment with what we were predicting, which is that we're going to see less people making these. You can get so much value for, I mean, like I said, I started copywriting for free. I have never taken a copywriting course. I've never spent thousands of dollars on copywriting specific education. There's so much, I call it YouTube University. Nowadays, there's so much free content out there. There's so much value out there that you don't have to pay a ton for, that you have to position yourself as different. You have to be different. You have to build a brand around something that stands out from just what you do, right? Yes, I'm the email girl, but I'm the email girl who focuses on community building and deeper relationships. And yes, making a profit, but doing it ethically, right? You can go find anyone out there to write mass emails and not follow the rules. But I've positioned myself to be different very intentionally. And the people I've attracted have reflected that. And when I tell you that most of my clients are repeat clients, like the retainer that I have, they're ongoing people. Everyone I write emails for right now, I've been doing at least 6 months, and my longest retainer client is going on over a year now. And so to keep people around that long, you have to be doing good work, though. If you are somebody who can only provide a good experience in a blip or one time, it's hard to repeat it. So I think what I've mastered and what I've continued to work on and evolve is just being able to provide value over a period of time over and over to the same person versus always having to start fresh and always needing a new pool of people. And so, yes, maybe it's less on the invoice, the number is a little bit lower, but it's more in the long run when you multiply it by 10 or 12 or however long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the kind of difference between the value of one transaction versus lifetime value of a client. And exactly what you said, I also offer ongoing design support for my clients on the back end of a project for exactly that reason, because it got so exhausting being like, okay, well, I'm about to wrap up this website or this brand. Got to go like find 5 more leads so that I can hopefully book one of them. Like it's just a never ending hamster wheel. And I think your point that the ongoing relationship with somebody only works if you're delivering, right?
Yeah.
I say all the time, the best marketing strategy is just to treat your existing clients really, really well. Like just do what
Mhm.
you say you're going to do. Ideally, do a little more than what you say you're going to do,
Yeah.
and they will never leave, and they will send all their friends to you, and like you will be fine. But when we're stuck in this gotta get a new client, that becomes the priority instead of serving your existing client well, because you're like, well, they're doing this project with me, but they already paid me their $5,000 and now I'm focused on the next $5,000 versus what
Yeah.
you're saying of maybe they're only paying $700 a month, for example, but they're paying that every single month for the
Mhm.
foreseeable future. So I think that's a
I think too,
good frame to
one
start
thing I
on.
want to add on to it is like the whole bonus system, right? Like people think that more and more and more is more. If I overshare, I will over deliver. And all you're doing is overwhelming people because they don't need it all, right? If you contact me for graphic support and we agreed to do 30 graphics for a template series that I could then go post on Instagram. And you start adding in, I'll do your email header too, and then I'll do this and I'll add this and I'll add this. I don't even really know what I'm getting. And then I'm concerned that we're just throwing more versus doing a really good job at the thing that you promised. And so I'm
Mhm.
all about just having that very simple deliverable. It doesn't have to be more. You don't have to have a ton of bells and whistles. Make it very simple, have a very clear outcome, and then just sell the absolute crap out of it, you know?
Yeah, and I think too, like, you overwhelm them as in your audience, but you also overwhelm yourself because now
Mhm.
there's all this extra stuff you have to do that your client didn't ask for and doesn't really care about, but you said you were gonna do it, so now you have to do it, otherwise you don't keep your word. And then you keep, like, raising the bar and raising the bar and raising the bar for yourself, and it just feels like a fast track to burnout to me.
Been there. I had 13 clients one time, 1 month, and it was the hardest month in business I've ever had. And it's because I overpromised. And then I was trying to keep up with all these promises I made. And since then, the biggest lesson was that more work doesn't equal more money. Um,
Mhm.
and that's really was my big takeaway.
Yeah, and I mean, and to take that a step further, like, more work doesn't always equal more money, and more money for sure does not always equal more happiness. I've told the story on the podcast before of my highest earning month ever was in 2019, I think, and I didn't even know that it happened until, like, 3 months later because I was just, like, spread so thin and so burnt out that once I finally got around to doing my bookkeeping, I was like, "Oh, I made a ton of money 3 months ago. Missed that entirely. Worth it
Yeah,
at
you'll be
all."
spending money hiring support to try and make it happen and pull it off. And I had the same thing happen my first almost 10K month. It didn't feel like a 10K month because I was spending so much money trying to upkeep what I had promised. And so, yeah, I think that the simpler stick to something that feels good to deliver. Like, why are we creating offers that we hate to execute or that we're getting resentful of? Like, what? You should not, you didn't get self employed because you want to be miserable. You want to enjoy what you do for work. And so, create offers and create a brand that you love existing in, you know?
Yeah. And I've had the conversation too of that, like, self-employment or entrepreneurship is not the easiest way to make a living. It is much easier to just go get a job. I think that's a big misconception that people are like, "Oh, well, you work from home and your schedule fits around your kids and like this and that." And like, yes, that's very nice. And like, I feel very grateful and blessed that that is my life, but it's in no way, shape, or form easy. It would be easier to drop my kids off at daycare from 8 to 5 every day and go clock into an office and turn off my mom brain. That's not how I want to live my life, and I imagine you would agree.
Totally. My daughter does go to school during the week just for her own enrichment and she loves it, but I need the space just as a solo person. I don't have that support at home. So it's like there's a give and take. We get the freedom, right? If she's sick, I can cancel everything, wipe my schedule. My clients understand. They give me grace. It's the best. But
Mhm.
guess what? Then you're going into Saturday or you're going into the evening hours where a job would never say, "Well, can you come in on that day you called in sick and make it up?" They would just they'd factor it in. It's part of the job, right? And so it's up to you to make sure things get done. And so it's they say with great reward comes great responsibility. And so self-employment's one of the hardest things I've done next to single parenting, but it's so worthwhile. And nobody understands that this has been such a conversation lately I've been having with business owners. Nobody understands that your family's not going to, and you may as well not share your big vision with anybody because they're not going to get it. And they're going to tell you that, maybe maybe you should just, I hate those words. Maybe you should just, maybe not, maybe not. Maybe God gave me a vision that he didn't give you, and maybe you just don't understand it, is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And you posted a thread this morning, I think. It was either last night or this morning. You were like, I have these goals and I think I'm not going to tell anyone
Mm,
about them until I achieve them because, like, the way you framed it was like, that's between me and God. And, like, we'll see. But I don't really need all you, like, negative Nancy's saying maybe you should just. And I love that.
I I post my best content from the toilet, and that's where I was this morning when I was typing that. It was my first thought when I woke up was, I'm gonna put a goal, and it's actually the goal that came to my mind is not business related at all. It's church related. And I thought, I'm not even gonna tell anyone, not even my friends, that I have this goal, and I'm just gonna see if it happens. I'm just gonna tell God. God knows my desire. I'm gonna pray on it. I'm gonna work on it secretly, and if it comes true, it comes true. And it's been cool because sometimes Threads is so funny. It's such a funny platform. We can talk about that later, but it's a great place for writers. It's a great place for the quick-witted. It's a great place for somebody that is punchy because you can just put a thought out there, and it's a great testing place for other
Hmm.
content. Because now that that's there, I can turn that into a reel. I could turn that into a carousel. I can write a whole email about it, and I know that it hit for my audience because it's got comments on it. It's performing. So sometimes it's best to keep things to yourself and just to see
Yeah.
how they go, and just to put your nose to the grindstone and work and let this work speak for itself.
Yeah, I remember this is not at all business related, but feeling that way when I found out I was pregnant with my first baby, that, like, I didn't want to tell anyone. And it wasn't, a lot of people are like, oh, you don't tell anyone before 8 weeks because what if you have a miscarriage
Mm.
or like whatever, lots of, like, legit reasons. I didn't want to tell anyone because I was like, I just feel like this is like my special little thing that I get to keep for myself. And as soon as I let the cat out of the bag, I'm going to be inundated with, like, opinions and questions and all of these things. And I just want to have it for myself. And that, the feeling of that seems very similar to, like, what you're describing.
And you can't help that it will shape. I mean, as firm as you can be the firmest person in your opinion. And if somebody poops on something that is still a developing thought or a developing idea, or even a business coach, sometimes you hire mentors and they're like, nope,
Mhm.
squash that, hate that. And it's like they're projecting their experience of that thing on you. And you have to take it with a grain of salt. When I got pregnant with my daughter, she was a surprise. And I remember my mom saying, your older sister's going to be devastated because it wasn't her first. And then this exciting kind of like surprise miracle kind of thing turned into feeling really guilty and shameful about it and feeling like I didn't get to celebrate it. So, and I don't think that she necessarily meant for it to have that impact, but words are really powerful. I mean, I'm in the business of powerful words, and I think that people say things flippantly, not realizing that they have a lasting effect. And so, yeah, just be
Yeah.
careful who you share your things with and who you let speak life or death into your stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good, like, parallel between life and business too. And I now, as a parent, try to be really mindful of the things I say to my kids and around my kids because we don't know what is going to be that thing that, like, they're talking about in therapy 20 years later. You know what I mean? There
Literally.
are conversations I remember having or overhearing with my parents that really stuck with me that I guarantee at the time they did not give a second thought to. They, like, didn't know I was listening, didn't think it was a big deal, like, whatever. And I think it's the same with business and with copy in particular. I'm super curious to hear your thoughts about this. Like, you don't really know what's going to stick for people for better or worse. So I think it's really important to, like, be discerning and intentional with what we're saying and, like, what copy we're putting out into the world. Is your brand feeling a little off? Like, your visuals, messaging, and your overall vibe just are not lining up with where your business is headed? You probably don't need another pretty logo. You actually need a solid strategy behind your brand. That's exactly what we'll build together inside the Standout Brand Strategy session, a one-on-one deep dive into your brand foundation so that you can finally show up with clarity, consistency, and confidence. And if you're thinking about working with Spect & Co. on branding or web design, this is your first step for every single project that we do together. Clients who have gone through this process have tripled their audience size, doubled their revenue, and raised their rates by 30% or more. Use the link in the show notes to book your session, and don't forget to enter code SFBPOD at checkout to save $100.
Yes. Yes. I don't mean to like make this whole thing godly or religious or anything, but like I'm really careful about what I speak, that it would like my posts, that because people want to make a post and sometimes they'll make a generalization or a big blanket statement. And I talk about this a lot too. I think on Threads is just that I don't speak in absolutes. I try not to speak in blanket statements because yes, while in the moment it might be more sales positive, or it might be more attention grabbing. I think that nuance is so important, and nuance actually creates space for comfort and for safety. I think a lot of people, they're making promises they can't even keep, and then they're not able to deliver on that, and then their reputation is negatively affected. And it's like, could you have just added a probably or a might or a could? Like, and they don't want to because it feels like fluff, and it's not fluff. It is a fact. It is a fact, is what it is. It makes
Yeah.
that thing that you said that is untrue into a truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm thinking of it too from the context of, like you said, Threads is like great for the quick witted and it's very fast. I was just talking the other day of how like my Threads content always does better than my Instagram content because there's like 10 seconds in between me having the thought and putting it out there. Like I'm not filtering it and people like that and it gets traction versus Instagram. I have like 3 days to agonize over writing this post and making the reel and making the graphic and making it perfect and blah, 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 blah. However, that can get dangerous when you're like fired up and emotional and a client just burned you and then you post something on Threads and you can't take it back. I see so many people, service providers who do what you and I do, complaining about their clients on Threads.
Oh.
And I like, are you missing the part where Threads is full of potential clients who are seeing you talk crap about your clients? Like, I'm not going to hire you and I'm not going to refer anyone to you.
That
ever.
is my pet peeve. That is my absolute pet peeve. When I see that, I immediately don't trust people, because there was a time where that client was like I have stories. Believe me, I have stories, but that same client who pissed me off and who I fired, guess what? When they first started, they were willing to pay me up front because I needed groceries, because I literally didn't have money in my bank account. And so they were willing to Venmo me my first paycheck so that I could go get groceries that day and start their emails on like sight unseen when I met them. So yes, maybe it didn't end great. Maybe then there was mixed boundaries and then it turned into this whole other situation because it wasn't set up properly. A lot was learned from that situation, but you will never catch me writing a post that's like, I had this one client who would call me at all hours of the night, tell me way too much about the person. Like, no, because that is an emotional response to something that is just a very real life situation. We just weren't a good fit, but that's not the story to tell, because you never know too, if you burn that bridge, maybe that person goes through a huge life change. I know I've changed. I know that I'm the villain in some people's story, and I know that I'm constantly learning and evolving. What if that person comes back to you and goes, you know what? I thought you're the best I ever had, and I really, really want to come back. Like, is there a way that we can work together? And if you went and roasted them on the internet for all to see, they're not coming back, first of all. Second of all, they now feel more inclined to smear you back to other people. And so you lost that person as a reference even. And I just think that people are quick to say, that person's still a mom, a wife, a daughter that you're talking poorly about your one interaction, or they no-showed. Oh, this is the worst. When somebody like no-shows a discovery call, which we've all been there, right? We've all had a client no-show. My first reaction is like, are you okay? Did you get in a car accident? Are you okay? And I see people's first reaction before like the call would have even been up, go to Threads and say, that I just got ghosted and blah, 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 blah. Like, what if that person is in the hospital and then they go to find that on your page and then like you lost the client? You lost the client for sure. And not only that client, you probably lost other clients who now don't trust you as far as they can throw you. And so, yeah, just honesty and integrity is really important to me, and not being negative unnecessarily. There's a time to hold people accountable. I'm not saying that there isn't a time, but first of all, you should always address it with that person first before you go to the internet and go to a platform. What did I say the other day? Take it up with the Lord before you take it up with the internet. Take it up with that person and just have a one-on-one, because a lot of the time it can be squashed right then and there. And we skip that. And if you do decide to come out on the internet, because maybe you had a really horrendous experience and you really feel like ethically it needs to be brought to light, choose your words wisely. Choose your words wisely, because when you're nasty and you're mean, people see right through that. It no longer becomes a learning tool for other people, and you are the one who looks bad, not the person you're talking about,
Yeah. And so my husband is in the Air Force, which you know a little bit about. And he has had a mentor that has been, he says it more eloquently than this, but the point of his message is like praise people in public and correct them in private. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Like the entire world doesn't need to be privy to the tough conversations that you're having with your clients. And to your point, you mentioned the like Amy Porterfield, Jenna Kutcher thing that's happening on the internet right now. And I have my own mixed feelings about both of them, but I feel like those are conversations to have like in the DMs with your really close friends or in your mastermind group that you're in, or what, like in private with really trusted people. I have seen so many people just come for both of them.
A viral moment and so many people are jumping on it. And
Yeah.
Here's what I have to say about Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher. I don't know them. I don't know them. I've never spent a dollar on anything they have. I know that they are extremely successful within their own rights. And I know that people have ethical issues with them about speaking or not speaking on political topics. I don't really touch on that because that's not what my business is here for. And so I can respect that as business owners, they've chosen to do that. But I don't know them. I don't know. And I don't know them personally. I don't, people picking their friendship apart, people picking so many things apart. And trust me, I have jumped in on like the comment section before and been like, ah, ha, ha, because I have a funny and I'm trying to be better about this. Just because it's funny and you can say it and it'll get likes doesn't mean you should. Just because you have a gift for words and putting things together doesn't mean you have to have an opinion on everything. So sometimes it's like, I just don't have a dog in that fight. I just don't. I don't. I think that, that especially as women and other mothers, and I don't know. I'm like, I can't even remember if Amy's a mom or not. I think she is. But I just don't, I don't have anything to say about them or their businesses. I hope that anything that comes from this, they take away lessons and that they get better, from it. But also, I pray that this isn't like tearing them apart behind the scenes because it hurts. To be talked about is to be hurt. And can you imagine on that level, thousands of people having an opinion about you and thousands of people just thinking you're a horrible person over just like silly marketing stuff? Like this isn't life and death, you guys. Like let's think about what we're really talking about here. So yeah, I don't even have an opinion on the two of them.
100%. And my point there too is like, I've seen so many people just really not being very nice about it on the internet. And that instantly gives me the ick. Like if I ever had any hope of wanting to connect with you for a coffee chat or refer a client to you or hire you, that really makes me pause first because I'm like, if you will talk that way about a stranger, what are you going to say if like I hire you and we actually know each other and maybe something happens and things go sideways? And to your point, there are things happening in my life that you don't know about that maybe make me not be the best client or something go wrong or whatever.
Yeah. And to some extent, I understand if you spent money on something and you didn't get what you were promised. But there's a chain of command for literally everything. Like take it up with the Better Business Bureau. Like go file it in small claims court. Like if you really feel so passionate, do that. File a charge back with your bank if you feel so inclined. But nothing like either they're not going to see your post. And if they do, when you've torn them apart, do you really think they're going to like try to rectify it, give you your money back kind of situation? And the other thing too, we have to remember is execution is half of it. People can you can give the same information to two different people and one will build a business and one will go bankrupt. And it has nothing to do with that information and everything to do with the people who received it. So,
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm going to start using that. Take it up with the Better Business Bureau. That's hilarious. Okay, so to bring us back around to copy a little bit, you mentioned how Threads is a really great place to like try some stuff out. And in my head, I kind of picture it as this like ladder, right? So at the bottom, you have Threads, which is like fastest, lowest threat, kind of really easy to just throw an idea out there and see if it sticks. And then I would say next is email or Instagram, but in the case of copy, email. So you had something that did okay on Threads. Now you want to turn it into an email and see how that goes. And then I would say at the top is your website. Do you agree with that? Do you think that makes sense that like you can kind of use those platforms as a way to test out and refine messaging before you spend the $5,000 on a website copywriter?
Let me just say this. Before you ever go buy a website copywriter, please get brand messaging done. If you go hire a website copywriter and they're going to write your entire website, which is going to be what defines your identity in the online world, and they don't do brand messaging and they build that website off of a questionnaire run, first of all, So get brand messaging done. It's going to be a couple $1,000s more. And you know what? It's totally worth it because that brand messaging is going to guide those emails and those threads and that Instagram and the website copy and every sales page you ever do. So brand messaging would be, I'm going to look at the pyramid as a foundation. Do the brand messaging first. You're going to need a website, right? Because then you're going to funnel people from social media to your opt-ins and stuff like that. So you'll need a website. Website copy is important. And then from there, like top of funnel is social media, whether it be Threads or Instagram. I often too, I can't say that I live and die by Threads being first, only because a lot of the time my Threads are my caption for my Instagram post. So if you go look at my Instagram post, I'll copy my caption because why not? It's stuff I wrote. I took time to write it. Why not pop it up in Threads? But if it is something that's more experimental that I want to know if people even want to hear about something, I'll throw it up on Threads. So that I would say is like you start out with the brand messaging, have your website nailed, social media is in there. And emails for me come after the social media post because I'm not going to write an email about it if it didn't perform on social media or if like nobody commented on it on social media because my messaging is geared towards my ideal client. And if they didn't respond to it on socials, why would I go take it, like abuse the place where they have given me exclusive access to them, 40 times reach. Why would I take that and give them something they never asked for there? You know?
Yeah.
So I'd say social media would be there, and then tip top is email for me.
Yeah. That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. Yeah. And I think to your point about brand messaging, I have a similar soapbox about brand strategy before
Mm,
design, right? Like people just like how they're like, I want my website copy. I want a logo. I want a color palette, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But like, what is that based on? Because if I, in your case or copywriter's case, write your website copy, or in my case, design your logo based off of just your questionnaire, like just some random answers that you give me that frankly ChatGPT probably helped you with, it's probably going to look fine. It's probably going to sound okay. But then in another year from now, you're going to be like, it's still not quite right. I need to do it again because you didn't do that foundational work. So I love that you
yes.
mentioned that of like everything is based on your brand messaging when it comes to everything that's written. And everything is based on brand strategy whenever it comes to anything like design or experiential and even a little bit messaging and copy related.
Right. And we always want to be gentle with people's budgets. We don't want like the shock factor. And so I see a lot of people just kind of being like, oh, I'll incorporate it into there. And it's like, yeah, it really is its own step. You have to give it its own respect. And it's funny you talk about design in that way, because I feel that that's what my brand is missing. I have the colors, I have the fonts, and they're okay, but I don't know that they even could be paired up with my brand messaging and make sense. I don't know that they radiate what the brand messaging is giving. So I think you're even teaching me here that maybe we have a step to, like, go back and rewind, and
Yeah.
so, and it's never a waste of time, and it doesn't mean you have to throw everything in the garbage. It doesn't mean that, your current messaging work that you've done is trash, but it needs to be built upon. I see people really focus on that elevator pitch, that one-liner, and it's like, okay, yes, the one-liner, but that's one section on my 14-page brand messaging strategy. Like, there's so much more to it, and I use all of it.
Well, not only that, but like, okay, so you nail your one liner, your elevator pitch. What happens figuratively if the elevator door opens and whoever you just gave that pitch to was like, yeah, let's go have coffee and talk more about it? What are you going to say then? Like,
Right.
people don't
You're
think,
just gonna repeat the same sentence over and over again.
right? It's going to be like Groundhog Day. So, yeah. And I think to your point of like, nothing is wasted. Yeah. I I think that we need to give ourselves a little more credit and a little more grace that like whatever you're doing, so your brand, like your fonts and your colors that you're like, they're fine, they're good, but they're not like maybe they don't quite fit. They still got you to where you are right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
With that brand, you still have been able to support yourself and your daughter and not have to go work at a restaurant. Like that's a huge deal. That's worth celebrating.
Fair. Yeah,
And
not every client needs saving, right? Like some clients, like they'll come to you, and these are the best ones. They come to you and they're doing okay. They just
mhm,
need some tweaks. If anything, the saving ones, and I think a lot of our messaging speaks to the saving ones. I see this happen with a lot of my clients. They come to me and they're like, I keep attracting these people who are like rock bottom. Like I worked with a diet coach and she's like, everybody's a binge eater. Everybody needs like severe help. They're like really, really hard off. And I'm just not qualified to help. These people need therapy, not a diet coach. And I'm like, well, your messaging like speaks on pain points, and it's very emotional and it's very painful and it's
mhm.
very like you know what I'm saying? Like it's triggered messaging. So why don't we lighten it up? Like why don't we lighten the mood up a little bit? And it just shifted her entire business with the people she started attracting. I'm like, maybe those people that are rock bottom aren't your client. And for
Yeah.
me, they're not. If you're not profitable and you've never made a dime on what you're doing, you don't need to come to me. You need to like
Mhm.
decide if you're like even in the right industry, figure that out first. So, go to an offer strategist first. Go to an offer strategist and figure out if you've even got a good offer to message about, and then we'll work on your messaging.
Yeah, and I've had clients have a similar experience. The one that comes to mind is a psychologist, and same thing. She was like, "I'm attracting all these people that are like legitimately a danger to themselves, and I can help them, but that's not really who I want to work with. I want to work with more like high achieving people who were like doing okay, but they want to be doing better." But she had a really hard time feeling like, and you'll get this as a woman, as a mom, that like she can help them, so she should help them. And that is a
Mm.
really tough change for people in business to be like, just because I can doesn't mean I have to. And my zone of competency is different than my zone of genius.
It'll create a business that you don't enjoy because it'll be so stressful because the pressure is so high for you to fix it, for you to fix what's
Mhm.
wrong. And I've learned that just because I can doesn't mean I want to. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
I have the capacity to. And so it's okay I think it's easy money. I think the rock bottom is
Yeah.
easy money because those people are willing to do anything to just not feel the way they feel, you know?
Mhm.
just because you can go buy a pack of cigarettes to do it. Maybe the cigarettes isn't the answer. Maybe you actually need to go exercise and have something that is a healthy
Yeah.
outlet. So I don't want to be the cigarette. I want to be the CrossFit class. I want to
Yeah.
be the thing that once you're ready to come in, but I can't rescue anybody and I can't rescue your business. If you have a failing business, like my messaging won't necessarily save it.
No, and that pressure on a service provider like you or I will crush you. I have another episode that's about investing in your branding from like a place of desperation versus a place of abundance. And that's a big messaging shift that I have made in the last maybe like 2 years or so, is that I was talking about my services and mostly design, but a little bit strategy from a place of like, your business is great, but nobody knows because your design sucks, basically. And that like, that's going to be the magic bullet that's finally going to allow you to show up the way that you want to and blah, 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 blah. And I attracted a lot of clients who like, I was their last ditch effort at fixing their business.
And a
And
lot of
I
the
just,
time at that point, right, they've already decided in their head they're done. And then when they go out and they decide to quit, they will always associate you with like, it didn't work. It wasn't. And those aren't the testimonials. Like those people
no.
aren't giving you glowing reviews that you can use. Those people are out of business, right? Like I wrote website copy for somebody and bless her heart, she's a good person, but she went and shut her business down like very shortly after that. And it was
Mhm.
like, I was like, man, like I can't even use that for anything. Like it was just one and done. And it was like kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what I was going to say is like, I make them a beautiful brand. They love it. And typically in my case, they would write me a really glowing testimonial like immediately when the project was done because they're on like a high. And then 6 months or a year later, their business is closed. So I have this testimonial from somebody, but then I like link to their website next to their testimonial and somebody clicks it and there's a 404 page. Like that really erodes my credibility.
Right, I'm sending
Also,
the link to a website, not realizing the whole website's been shut down, and I'm using it, like, in my portfolio as an example, and then I didn't screen record it, right? I don't have
Mhm.
the design, and the designer didn't either, and so I don't even have it in my portfolio as an example. It's just gone into the abyss, and it was thousands of dollars invested, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. So I kind of switched my messaging to, hey, your business is doing well with the brand that you have. And now you're ready for it to feel like your brand matches like the level of service you provide and like step into that next level. And that has made such a difference in the type of clients I'm attracting from like, you need design to fix your business to your business is great as it is and design's going to make it even better or brand strategy is going to make it even better.
Yeah, mine I shifted to email marketing for socially successful brands because that's who I want you to already be doing okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump on a sinking ship.
Yeah. Yep. And I've had a client tell me once that money is an amplifier, right? So if things are going well and you invest in your business, you're going to do better. But if things are going bad and you invest in your business, you're going to still keep having more of the same. And I think that applies to most like industries or services that you would hire in your business. So I love that reframe for us.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple minutes left. I want to talk about how somebody should know if it's time to invest in email marketing support, because I know like you don't have to look very far on the internet to have people be like, I haven't emailed my list in a year, or I know I should send an email this week, but I just haven't. Like it, for some reason, is a huge sticking point for people. And some of them might not even know that's something they can get support in. But how can we know if we're ready to hire you, Cass?
You are ready to start sending emails, whether it's me or yourself. You're ready to start sending emails, when you have one person on the list. You don't need 100. You don't need 500. I don't even have 500 people on my email list. Are you kidding me? So really, the moment when you have somebody on the list, but also prior to that, when should you start building the list? When you have a proven offer that gets results, whether or not, I would say once you've sold it, but
Hmm.
obviously when you launch, sometimes when you launch something new, you don't have the results, but I'd say when you have a proven offer, when you know there's a demand for what you do, and when your social media, when your messaging that you're already using is getting traction. Because if it's getting nothing, if you have a whole social media page and there's not a single like it or a comment and nobody's engaging, nobody's getting on the list and nobody's going to open the email even if they do. So I would say that would be first. Secure the offer, secure your socials and your messaging first. And once you do that, then email's like gasoline on a fire. But pouring gasoline on concrete is just like, it's pointless. It's silly. It's a waste of gasoline. You should go put it on your car instead and go do something with it. So that's what I would say is when you have the offer, the messaging down.
Awesome. So to your point about nobody's getting on the list, I know different copywriters and email marketing people have strong and very differing opinions about this. I grew up in business in the era of like 85,000 opt-ins that are like just PDF checklist of stupid stuff that people don't actually need just to fill your list. What are your opinions on that? Like, do we need an opt-in? And if so, how robust does it need to be? Or is it okay to just be like, hey, sign up for my emails? Like, can your newsletter be the opt-in?
Yeah. I'll give you my email list growth strategy because it's very simple. 2 days a week, I grow my email list. One of those days, I focus on my newsletter and the value of it. My newsletter is a pre-qualifier. The inbox revival, if you want your inbox game to be stronger, then you are my ideal client. If you're trying to get better emails, my deliverable on that newsletter is so very clear. You're going to learn how to be a better email sender. That does fit so first, have a newsletter that is designed around what your ideal client needs from you. And I promise that it's not insights and updates and discounts. I'm just saying. Second, my next day, that on Wednesdays, I post about my freebie. My freebie is also a pre-qualifier. It's 75 subject lines that are like funny and kind of unhinged and kind of Gen Z millennial. And so that's somebody I would want to write emails for, right? I don't want to write, well, maybe I do want to write DocuSign emails because I want to fix him, but I don't want to write for boring brands. I want to write for brands that want to have some personality. And those are who would like those subject lines. And my ideal client needs better open rates. So in 2 ways, that freebie pre-qualifies my ideal client for either my membership that's upcoming or for one of my done for you services. So both of those days have a separate opt-in, so I can see which method is getting more people. It may surprise you that my lead magnet is not my number one source of opt-ins. My number one is my newsletter, just straight marketed. Here's the value of it. Here's what you're going to get from my newsletter. Bing, bang, boom. I get more opt-ins on that than I do the subject lines. And so those are the 2 days, and I just test them side by side, and I still post the subject lines. I mean, they don't like get nothing, but I think it's important to make sure you have a freebie. If you're going to do a freebie, if you're going to do a newsletter, they've got to be pre-qualifiers for your ideal clients. Don't go make, the days of building 89,000 email lists off a checklist. How many of those people are actually pre-qualified to pay you? How many of those people want to work with you? So.
Yeah, no, I think that will be reassuring for people to hear. And I think also lead magnets are tough, right? I just created a new one that is doing okay for me and I really like, and I think is like a great value to my clients. But I also struggle a little bit with, as a user, as somebody who's opting in for the thing, sometimes I just want you to give me the thing. I don't want like the 85,000 emails that come with. I just want to test out whatever your thing is that you're offering me. And if it works for me, if it resonates, if I like it, then like I'll stay in your world. And if not, then I won't. I also think I recently downloaded your 75 subject lines like a few days ago. And to your point of like, it doesn't need to be a huge thing. It is literally
a Google Doc.
It's a Google Doc in black and white. Like there's not even any branding on it. And I'm not saying that at all to like.
No, but somebody came for me on Threads the other day. I don't know if you saw that, but somebody posted the other day. And I was like, I'm so over these lead magnet or like these products that are on a Google Doc that are just text on a Google Doc. And I'm like in my head, and I commented on it and I said, sometimes that's the best way to give the value for the person using it who's going to copy and paste it. Do you know how hard a PDF is to copy and paste? If you ever try to copy and paste from a Canva PDF, it's a pain in the booty. So Make it consumable. Make it something that your audience will, and then don't give too much value. Make it step 0 or step 0.5 to step 1 being your course or your thing or your sales, like your solution.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, we get so hung up on like everything has to be polished and perfect and pretty and on brand. And obviously for me, I'm a brand designer. So my stuff does need to be that way because people are literally coming to judge me based on that. In your case, like they just want the words. And if putting it in a Google Doc and pushing it out to the world is going to help you to put things out there and serve people and get people what they need faster, then just do that. I could get on a big soapbox about how frustrating it is for me to see people sit on really good content and really good offers and like stuff that the world needs to see and hear and have access to because they're like, well, I don't know how to make my Google Doc pretty, or I don't like the way it looks, or I don't know what colors to use.
I need to hire a designer to do it. It's like, just know your audience. For you, yes, I totally agree. For design and branding, yes, like you want something to be aesthetically pleasing. For me, I would hire someone like you to do that. I don't need to do that.
You like you said, like test out your offer. And to be clear for our audience, email opt-in, like something free is still an offer. You're still offering it to people and they're having to tell you whether or not they want it. So you test out your 75 subject lines Google Doc and then you say, holy cow, I got 100 opt-ins in 3 weeks or something. And now you know that it's something people want. And then maybe you put some effort into making it pretty.
But if it got 2 opt-ins and my newsletter on Monday opt-in is getting 100, I would know that freebie probably sucks and I probably need to pull it and revisit the idea. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
And you would never know that if you had been like waiting to make it pretty forever. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here, Cass. That was such a fun conversation. I feel like we took a lot of twists and turns that were pretty interesting. So it was a lot of fun for me. Tell us how we can hire you and then where we can connect with you.
go find me on Instagram because my website needs some work. I bought a template on Show It and I'm customizing it. But like I said, I'm not a designer. So go find me on Instagram, connect with me on Threads, the Copywriting Mama. That's the best place. And I will keep you posted on when the website is done via those platforms. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Six Figure Brand Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to rate the show and leave a review on whatever app you're listening on. And as a thank you, I'll send you coffee on me. Yes, I'm serious. As a smaller show for now, you taking the time to do this makes a huge impact on how we can reach more people and how I can continue to create this content for free. When you take a screenshot of your review, follow and tag me on Instagram at @SpectandCo. I'll send you a $5 Starbucks gift card. As always, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources I mentioned during the episode. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week.